Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Toni Carroll. I am the South Carolina State Manager and Chief Training Officer here at Security Title Guarantee of Baltimore, and I'll be moderating today's presentation. Before we begin, just a few housekeeping items. You are in listen-only mode, but feel free to ask any questions and comment through the questions box that you should see in the GoToWebinar panel. We will take some time at the end of the presentation to address those questions. Today, we're very excited to have Stine and Brooke Volkert joining us today from CloseSimple. They're going to talk about emerging trends in closing communication and customer experience. I had the pleasure of seeing their cohort, Bill Spoda, yesterday and presenting with him, and they're an amazing group and have a great product that can help differentiate you in the market. Paul's the co-founder and CEO of CloseSimple, secure communication and collaboration platform exclusively designed for the title industry. I like to call it the pizza tracker. He co-founded CloseSimple with the mission to help their customers create a closing experience that saves escrow teams time and helps differentiate them from the title company down the street. CloseSimple seamlessly integrates with RamQuest, SoftPro, Resware, or Greenfolders, making it super easy to use and automate. And Brooke is the account executive with CloseSimple. Before that, she spent over 4 years in business development for an independent title agent in Minnesota. Did I say that right? Minnesota?
That was good. I like it.
During her time there, she utilized CloseSimple as her primary selling tool. Her passion is helping other people in the title industry maximize their potential with technology. Welcome, Paul and Brooke, and tell us how your product can help our agents.
Yeah, thanks so much. We really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you all. I've been doing this now in the title space for about 6 years. Again, Brooke's been doing this for a while too. And as we go through this process, we encourage you to write some notes down, write down some questions. We want to make sure we have time at the end of this to address those. Just to kind of get into our just sort of like intro. And at the end of the day, Toni did a great job of introing this, but we really we exist to help title and escrow companies elevate the closing experience for all parties, including the escrow staff, the paralegals, folks who are actually behind the desk working on your side, as well as everyone else who's involved in a transaction, realtors, lenders, consumers, attorneys, whoever your customers are. And we're going to talk about that in a minute and get into sort of like how we address what we see as emerging trends in our industry. But we want to make sure we cover those too. So at the end of the day, you get something out of this in terms of areas that you can be focusing on. And if that involves bringing us in as a part of that, we would love that opportunity. But this is definitely something that you can start thinking about at the same time. So we're going to talk about some market needs quick, get into the emerging trends, and then Brooke's gonna walk us through a little bit of the CloseSimple platform as well, and we'll have some discussion. So as we're out talking to title and escrow companies, Brooke, we talk to a number of people every single day across the country. Like, these are the areas that we're seeing people have needs. I need to be more efficient, I need to differentiate, and I need to be thinking about security when it involves anything. And starting with these needs, we can start to think about what are the trends in the consumer experience, in I guess that customer experience across the board, as well as in communication. So let's think about how closing communication and customer experience can have a dramatic effect on these three. From an efficiency perspective, how we like to think about this is, are you going to be in growth mode or scale mode? And I think in this industry, growth has always come with our sort of expenses and revenue rising at the same rate. And what we want to think about in terms of what you can do from a technology perspective or how you're positioning your company in a different light is think about, how do you have that expense kind of growing at a different rate than what your revenue is growing? How do you do more with less? That's what we're talking about with efficiency, so that it doesn't take, in some cases it can take 10 people to close 100 files, and then it takes 20 people to close 200 files. We want to be thinking about it differently and saying, and if it takes 10 to close 100, we want to get you on a path where it takes 12 to close 200. And that's what we're talking about in terms of efficiency. The first trend we see is this move from reactive to proactive. This is an industry where customer service is amazing. You all probably do this very well. You can tout customer service to anyone you're talking to. However, it's likely very reactive. About 90–95% of the people we're talking to are seeing that like it's a lot of answering the phone and emails, status updates all day long. It's noise coming into your company. And we try to say, let's get more proactive. How do we get more self-serve options out there for your clients so that you can get more strategic? We want to help you move from reactive to proactive, letting people know what's going to happen before they have to ask. And that can cause a massive reduction in inbound phone calls and emails. Another way to think about this is to build consistent, repeatable processes. If you're going to get proactive with telling people what's happening, it's time to start moving away from manual one-off approach. Whether you have one escrow team or paralegal group doing your pre-closing work, or you have 6 offices with 3 different teams at each of those, we see a lot of people just kind of like doing things in silos in a very manual way. The trend is to create consistent, repeatable processes and then automate. We talked about some of our integrations. A lot of the title production software platforms now have the way to automate, but you can't do that until you build out those consistent, repeatable processes. The first thing we do when we work with a client and with a new customer is say, what are your processes? And we get like 6 different answers, and it takes a minute to go, okay, this is how we're gonna do things going forward. But it can really open up a lot of opportunities. Whether you work with us or technology or anything, if you can do this one thing, this can really have a dramatic effect on your business. Differentiation, let's talk about that. And Brooke, you used CloseSimple in your sales process when you were going out. This is a very like, you know, a lot of sameness in this industry.
Oh yeah, I was always told never sell product, price, or service, because in Minnesota it was basically all the same.
Exactly. I mean, again, if you're providing great customer service, closing on time and accurately, et cetera, you're basically a title company. It's cost of entry at this point. How do we differentiate? And the first trend we're thinking about here is bringing transparency to the process. And I like starting with the Domino's pizza tracker. Like you said earlier, we kind of called CloseSimple for a long time the pizza tracker for title. If you can track your, you know, $15 Domino's order, you should be able to track your $300,000 home closing. But I think about the 17-year-old in the back of a Domino's back in 2010 or 2007, and they basically just sat in the back and answered the phone over and over saying, don't worry, it's on the way, don't worry, it's on the way, don't worry, it's on the way. And my guess is in your business, your teams might feel like that too. Don't worry, it's on track. We're still on track. We're still on track. And once they introduce the pizza tracker, they can take that person and start making more pizzas instead of answering the phone all day long. And there's just an opportunity to get more strategic with the time of the, you know, again, getting back to this being proactive versus reactive. If you can give people transparency to what's happening, can build a lot of trust. They do this in delivery. Uber,
you know, when you know where they've been, where they're going, you feel like you're more in control. And so even if they are 45 minutes away, you're less likely to get, you know, annoyed because you can see where they're going.
That'd be a long time to wait for.
I know. I feel like I've done it.
Some of these remote places, but you watch the Uber driver, you can watch them drive to you and you start getting frustrated if they're waiting at a stoplight for too long or if they took a wrong turn. The point is you have transparency to their process and it really elevates the experience. I love having Jimmy John's on here. I order Jimmy John's and they're like, well, track your order. I'm like, I don't want to track the order. You're going to be in 15 minutes, freaky fast. But just seeing that there is a process at Jimmy John's gives me a lot of trust. And we find that when customers roll out our pizza tracker, if you're a first-time home buyer or a realtor who doesn't do a lot of deals and you go, oh, I'm in this process, I know what's coming. Again, they're not going to bug you as much, gives them peace of mind, and they trust you almost inherently because they see that you know what you're doing. Pretty cool stuff. The second trend from a differentiation is just upgrading your delivery methods. I've got 2 examples here. One is just, this is an email template that Airbnb sends out. It's beautiful. It looks awesome. It's a way to actually represent a brand versus just delivering information. So you have an opportunity today to go, it doesn't matter that we're pushing out a communication. We want it to be something that like delights, that actually gives you that visual timeline maybe, or that represents your brand now throughout the process. The other side here is texting. This is an example. I took the screenshot last night of my daughter's school texts me every day before she doesn't have school, so I'm not waiting at the end of the street with her in the morning. if education can figure this out, if dentists can figure this out, we can be pushing out communications, notifications, letting people know what's happening in a way that's very standard now. We've been pushing out text messages, updates throughout the closing process for 5 years now, and we have like a 0.19% opt-out rate is the last time we checked. People like getting these updates. They're coming from you, they're trusted, and again, this is just another way to pierce through a very cluttered experience that is the realtor's phone, to be able to do this. So meet them where they're at and do it. The last piece of our sort of just this differentiation piece is just shifting your perspective, shifting your focus, shifting your mindset, if you will, away from customer service more towards customer care. This kind of wraps up the whole thing. Thinking more proactively versus reactively, anticipating problems versus just solving problems. Instead of saying, what can I help you with? It's here's what you're going to need throughout the process. We talked about Uber, but it's the total difference between taxis and Uber. The difference between haircuts and salons, that first time you get a haircut and you like sit back and like they give you a massage and then you have a glass of wine, it kind of ruins you. You're like, I have to have that again going forward. That's the type of experience that you have the opportunity to provide to your clients. And this is just a shift in mindset towards that customer care idea. Okay, we have to talk about security. It's a title webinar, but there's a lot of areas you can win here. I call this the obligatory like scary guy in like a hood, and this is not a funny topic at all. This is a very serious one. In the world that you live in, not only are you dealing with people trying to phish your people constantly, we get that here at CloseSimple too. You've got this ransomware thing, you've got just data that people are trying to hack, you've got fraud coming at you from obviously wire fraud, but now vacant land fraud and everything else. And we just feel like there's some great trends to be thinking about as you're going forward. If you build a consistent, repeatable process and you're updating people multiple times throughout the transaction about don't be a victim of wire fraud, don't be a victim of wire fraud, don't be a victim of wire fraud, they are less likely to be a victim of wire fraud. So our trend is just educate, 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 and get this in front of people as much as you can. If your process is consistent and repeatable, you can say, this is how we always operate. You will never get this, you will never get this, you will never get this, you will always get this. And if you're consistent with that, you can start to cut down on, and you start to get a customer that says, this feels weird, and they call you. And that's what you have to really be able to combat this. The second one is leverage technology where possible. We're talking about the customer experience. There's a lot of different resources out there and tech for combating this. I'm sure you've heard a lot of them. Brooke's going to be talking about our way that we help deliver secure wiring instructions. We've got new products coming out around vacant land fraud that we can talk about at some point. But the idea here is just leverage the technology that's out there in your process. The last one is just improving secure data flow. And that's both ways. That's going out to your client, and then that's coming back to you. It's been interesting over the past 6 years of being in the industry doing this. Everybody was talking about secure email. 5-6 years ago, it was like secure email, secure email, secure email. And back then there were a ton of really bad portals. And it feels like over the course of the last 5 years, we've kind of flipped now where we're talking about making sure that we have a place to definitively say, this is where you're going to interact with me digitally. This is where I'm going to give you information. This is where you're going to give me information. And it's one place where you can collaborate. And the portals have really come a long way. Again, we're going to show you a little bit of how ours works, but we highly recommend, and this is a trend that we're seeing of like making sure that your data is flowing securely both ways. So those are the trends that we're seeing. That was a lot. So if you have questions written down about any of these, happy to answer those in a little bit. I'm going to have Brooke now kind of take over and walk through the platform, our platform, and how we've kind of designed this, because at the end of the day, we see these needs in the industry. We're talking to people all the time. We see the trends, and we're trying to then bring those all together when we're thinking about what are the products and services that we put forth for our customers.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. It was great to learn about those trends because honestly, I talk to people every day and those are the things that I'm hearing. And that's how we've created our whole platform, is addressing those needs and answering those emerging trends. And so how we help our customers win is by making it super simple to execute an exceptional customer experience through automation in your title production software, which pushes out that beautiful real-time communication and then updates the secure portal where you have two-way, collaboration. And so I'll first talk about our real-time communication and what that looks like, because when we're talking about efficiency and being proactive, how we do that is through email and text messages. But it's important that these look beautiful and custom branded to you. They don't say CloseSimple anywhere. We use it as another way for security by educating on things like how to avoid wire fraud, and also making sure that their closing date and time is front and center. So you're not getting those inbound phone calls when they show up to the wrong office for their closing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm sure that never happens to anyone.
Yeah.
Right. And what's interesting about this is you kind of see like, we're showing ABC title, like Brooke said, customized to you. We set it up to come from your email domain. So again, you don't see CloseSimple anywhere. And you've got this great pizza tracker that's customized to your process. It may not look exactly like these 5, but it's going to be similar, and it's going to give you those consistent touch points you have throughout the process.
Then we have the text messages. So as soon as a milestone report or update goes out through email, it will also be updated via text message. It's kind of like getting a text from your dentist. You don't respond to that text message with like your complex dental questions. You wait for your appointment, or you just give them a call. So these are like those quick wins, just way to let them know important quick information that will direct them back to the relevant contact at your company.
Yeah, exactly. So again, are realtors good at checking their email?
Sometimes.
But probably not. But if we send them a text that says your commitment's in your inbox, go check it, they're probably going to do it. And they're going to be waiting for that text to say your check's in the mail after they get used to how this process works. And then they're not calling you constantly going, did it close? Did it close? Did it close? All of that.
Also, it comes from your area code, which I think is really important, because especially with the fraud and scams, and people are scared, coming from an area code that they're familiar with and comfortable with represents you.
Yeah, it's good.
And then finally, this all wraps up with our secure portal. So we showed you the email notifications that go out directly from an automated push from your title production software. And you saw the button that says access your portal. They'll be able to log in and see all of this awesome stuff. Should we show them what it looks like?
Yeah, let's give them a little bit of a live demo here.
It's a lot easier to show you as it's, moving. So picture this, you're a busy real estate agent or investor, and you have multiple transactions going on at once. You can see a heads-up display of all of your active transactions and recently closed transactions for up to 18 months. And we'll get into why that's important in a minute. So if we click into one of our transactions, we'll be able to see our status tracker just like in all of those emails. So a very consistent, communication experience. We'll be able to see relevant contacts based on the role. So this is all role-based in the portal. A buyer isn't going to see the same information that you're showing the seller. So it's fully customizable. And then our wiring instructions. So we've talked a lot about security and communication, using this as a way to educate them and also be able to download their wiring instructions. They're already an authenticated user in your title production software. And so we know who they are, and
yeah.
One
spot to go get them. That's the key. You only get them in the portal. You only get them in the portal. We will never email them. And again, as we're providing them, we're educating them.
That leads us to our two-way document sharing. This is something that's becoming more and more prevalent. I don't know if you've ever gotten an email before from a client that's like, uh-oh, I just emailed you my sensitive information. What do I do? And you're like, delete and delete from deleted, and then just delete your whole email account. No, I'm kidding. But having something like this available to customers puts them at peace of mind and puts you at peace of mind. So you can, do you want to explain a little bit about how that
works? I mean,
works?
documents can be obviously sent out easily from your title production software, or your customer can actually upload them very easily to your title production software through the portal. And it's, if they're using it on their phone, we like this mobile first approach to everything. That's where everybody's doing business these days. They can simply snap a picture, name the document based on whatever type they're uploading, and then it goes directly into their title production software.
And you will get a notification when something has been uploaded. So you're not like, where did it go? Finally, we have this really awesome feature called tasks, which today is our buyer and seller information sheet, agent information sheet, where it's a fully customizable web form that our team will help build for you. It's fully dynamic, and if, let's say, it's an LLC, it'll drop down a whole different subset of questions, and we can send that over for e-signing, which will then get dropped into the documents section of the portal, which will then automatically be uploaded to your title production software. And if they don't, because I don't know if you have ever had to chase somebody down to fill out their seller information sheet, it will automatically remind them.
That's right. So this gets customized to your form. Our team will build that out for you. And again, you can do everything from buyer and seller information sheets to getting a signed payoff authorization directly through our portal.
Awesome.
All right, let's keep moving.
So I just showed you the text messages and emails. If you want to scan this QR code right now, you can download our white paper all about the customer experience, just going more in depth about what we talked about today, but also you'll be able to see our top 5 email and text message templates on there.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want to take anything from those, see how we do our designed branded emails, all of the content and all of that, that's a great resource for you to go be able to get that. All right, so if we need to come back to this later, we will. We'll just keep rolling. Let's talk about GPS integrations.
Yeah, so SoftPro, Resware, RamQuest, Green Folders. I don't know if hopefully one of these look familiar to you, but it's as simple as you never have to leave, your title production software.
Yeah.
So do you want to dive in?
Yeah, I can go a little bit further. If you're on SoftPro, everything's fully automated out of there. Same with Resware. Your team is simply completing tasks or completing actions or doing other behaviors in the software that's going to kick off the automation to push out the real-time communications as well as update the portal. So there's very little work to do there. RamQuest and Green Folders we call it semi-automated, where we can trigger off of the light bulb in RamQuest or trigger off of tasks in Green Folders. And then it's a very simple user interface to be able to push the information out of there and make it easily accessible by your customers.
And that really encompasses our whole platform,
Yeah.
which is built on our customers' needs, addressing the trends.
That's right.
Staying ahead of the curve, especially when it comes to security. We take it very seriously.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And all of it very easily automated out of your title production software. Talk about a couple customer outcomes here. We got 1 minute left, and then we're going to open it up for discussion. This is just the type of thing we hear from our customers, which is saving time with CloseSimple allows us to do more closings without having to hire more people. That is exactly what we're talking about, all the way back to scaling versus growing. Scale mode, growth mode, and that's what we really want to be pushing people towards. And then this is that differentiation piece. We just landed 2 new clients on Friday because of CloseSimple. It's the best communication they've ever seen in the industry. This is a great story. 2 non-referring realtors. This woman was closing a deal for her friend. They both went through the CloseSimple experience. They didn't work with her at all, and they said, we're never closing with anyone else again. And this is the type of outcomes we love hearing from our customers. So with that, we got 5 minutes left, so we want to open it up for some discussion. And if there's any questions that you have that might require longer discussion, or if you want to book a demo with Brooke here, then you can simply use this QR code to pick a time on her calendar and do that. She's got a lot of options to do that on her calendar, and would love to discuss any of this further.
And we'll show you exactly what it looks like with your colors and brand, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that was awesome, guys. I feel like the biggest challenge for consumers in a transaction today is knowing where they are in the process. And in a changing market, this is a great way for our agents to differentiate themselves for sure. Before we got a couple questions in the question chat here. I do have one question. As far as SoftPro, do you work both with Standard and Select?
Yes, we do. Yeah, with Standard, there's less automation capabilities. But it does work well with both. So it's a little more manual with Standard, as maybe is expected, but Yep. We have a lot of customers who use both.
Perfect. I have a customer that has asked, or an agent has asked a question here. If they don't have QR code access, are they able to get the information, the book, and schedule a demo with Brooke?
Yeah, will you just pull up your email and email Brooke, BROOKE at CloseSimple.com, and she will make sure to follow up with that for you. So I don't think I can type. Oh, I don't think I can type, but maybe you can drop that in there, Toni.
Yep, I'll put that also in the chat to everybody so that they will have it.
Great.
So it's going to go out to the entire audience. That's great. And so we've got a few more minutes for questions, folks. Feel free to use that question section. If you have anything further for the group here, I know we've have customers that use this and love it. It really just differentiates themselves in the marketplace, especially right now. You know, it's nice to know exactly where you are in those transactions. Are you waiting on homeowners, or, you know, is the lender waiting on you? Are you waiting for something a consumer? It just really is helpful to be able to know exactly where you are in that process. But we can give it just another minute here for some questions. And you all did mention that you have an app so they can do these things. The consumer can do it physically from an app on their phone.
So it's not an app, actually. It's all web-based, so they don't have to download anything. It's very simple. They simply click the links and the buttons coming out of emails that are referenced by the text messages as well, and that just drops them right into it. So they don't have to download anything to get started.
Oh, makes it even easier. I don't got so many apps on my phone, they kind of get lost in the mix. So it's nice not having to have another app.
Yeah, and again, like, there's a lot of portals out there, and we kind of take a little bit different approach. We're not a build it and they will come. Build it and then people will just log into this thing naturally to be able to go do what they need to do. We are a build it and then remind them 5 times per transaction that we need them to do stuff. So we're really just driving people to this experience throughout the life of the whole file.
I do have somebody asking here if you integrate with LandTech.
We don't today. If you want to shoot me an email about that, if you're curious and are interested, you can shoot me an email, paul@closesimple.com, and we can discuss that further.
But even without that integration, there's still ways to work directly from your site to still give some value add?
Not today. You know, what we kind of found in our approach throughout the process has been if a escrow person's gonna have to leave their system, the likelihood of them actually using it is basically falls completely off. So everything is through integration today, but that said, we're constantly talking to integration partners about adding things. So again, you can shoot me an email about that.
Perfect. Yeah, you guys are so innovative. I love it.
I just want to say, Toni, that implementing a new technology can be scary and feel like a lot. And we have a dedicated implementation team that guides you through the entire thing. You will have a dedicated customer success person that's on your side to answer any questions that you have. We have support that is available for you, so you're never left alone.
Yeah, absolutely. We've worked super, super hard to figure out how to have the best onboarding experience of anyone in the industry, and that's what we hear consistently over and over, that our implementations are the easiest that anyone's ever done, which is important to us.
Yes, you guys are amazing to work with, and we enjoy partnering with you on our side. Well, it looks like that's all the questions for today. We're approaching the end of our time today, so my apologies if we didn't address all your questions, but Brooke and Paul, myself, or your security title representative can help direct any questions and get them answered for you. We appreciate everybody joining us here today. I will be attending the Alta Advocacy in Washington next week to lobby about preserving title insurance in our world and the importance of Secure Notarization Act. So Ted and I will be attending, and we'll get information from that and get you some feedback, and we'll be reporting back next month. So look for our invite for next month's webinar. We hope to see you there. And I want to thank Brooke and Paul. You guys did an amazing job, and we really appreciate your time today. Any
last
words?
Yeah, thanks for everyone's time. We really appreciate it. I know it's very busy. You have busy schedules, and to hop on a webinar is not a small thing. So thank you so much for sharing a few minutes with us. We'd love to hear from you if you have any additional questions. And beyond that, have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.